My name is Barbara Ellis, and I'm 68 years old. Some days the house still carries echoes of Bill. On humid Arizona afternoons, I swear I catch a whiff of his Old Spice aftershave drifting from the hallway closet where his navy jacket still hangs. 12 years since the pancreatic cancer took him, quick and cruel after a lifetime of health, and I still reach for him in my sleep. I still set 2 coffee mugs on the counter some mornings before the emptiness hits me again. Grief doesn't leave, it just learns to sit quietly in the corners, waiting for a song on the radio or a certain slant of light to stir it up. After Bill died, Tyler became my entire universe. My blue-eyed boy with his father's crooked smile, reckless laugh, and endless curiosity. I poured every ounce of love I had left into him. Overtime shifts at the insurance company to pay for his braces. Sewing Halloween costumes until my fingers bled. Reading bedtime stories in silly voices until he fell asleep on my chest. When he graduated high school, I sold the little camper Bill and I had bought for retirement adventures so Tyler could attend Arizona State debt-free. I told myself it was what parents do. I told myself it was what Bill would have wanted. When Tyler met Sophie at 25, a bright, ambitious elementary school teacher with long auburn hair and a laugh like wind chimes, I was overjoyed. Finally, the house would fill with noise again. Wedding planning, holidays, someday grandchildren running through Bill's garden. I opened my arms wide and welcomed her as the daughter I never had. I wanted to be the perfect mother-in-law. The one who showed up with homemade lasagna when someone had the flu. The one who babysat at the drop of a hat. The one who never complained, never kept score, never made anyone feel guilty. So when Tyler's freelance graphic design career proved unpredictable, feast or famine, he called it, and Sophie decided to take a break from teaching to build my personal brand online, I didn't hesitate. "It's just until we get on our feet, Mom," Tyler said the first time he asked for help with rent. "Of course, sweetheart," I replied, already logging into my bank app. "That's what family is for." Just until they got on their feet turned into 8 solid years. It started small. A few hundred for groceries when a client paid late. Then $800 for car repairs. Then the full mortgage payment when Tyler had a dry month. Then the $15,000 down payment on their Scottsdale condo because, "Rates are historic lows, Mom. We can't miss this opportunity." I paid for their European honeymoon top-up, Sophie's wellness retreats in Sedona, Tyler's multiple new MacBook Pros and Wacom tablets, their kitchen remodel with the granite counters that would increase resale value, their furniture upgrades, their emergency vet bills for the designer dog, their subscription boxes and meal kits. I cashed in Bill's life insurance policy gradually, telling myself it was what he'd want, his son comfortable. I stopped coloring my graying hair because $150 every 6 weeks felt selfish. I wore the same winter coat for 7 seasons until the elbows shone. I skipped the new hearing aids my doctor recommended. I canceled my own small dreams. The Alaskan cruise with my sister, the new patio furniture, the trip to see fall colors in New England. I ate canned tuna or peanut butter sandwiches more nights than I care to remember so their refrigerator could stay stocked with organic kale, almond milk, and craft IPAs. I never tallied it until forced to. But when I finally printed every statement for the lawyer, the number stared back at me like an accusation. $127,400. $127,400. Gone. Money that could have bought a small condo outright, or funded a dozen trips to the Italy bill and I always talked about, or simply secured a retirement where I didn't lie awake calculating how many years my savings would last. Every transfer earned me a phone call or text. Thin, but I clung to it. "You're a lifesaver, Mom. Couldn't do this without you. We're so grateful. Love you big. Best mother-in-law ever. Love you more than words, Mom number 2. Sophie, always with the hearts. It was crumbs, but I gathered them like a starving woman. Then came the 10th anniversary. We were at my house for Sunday dinner, my one unbreakable tradition. Homemade lasagna, garlic bread, the good red wine I saved for special occasions. Tyler pushed his plate away, grinning Bill's crooked grin that still melted me. "Big news," he said. 10th anniversary in June. Sophie and I want to do something huge. 7-night Caribbean cruise on Oasis of the Seas. Balcony cabin, all the excursions, specialty dining, the full dream package. My heart did an actual flip. I hadn't left the state in over 10 years except for a garden club day trip to Tucson. "You have to come with us, Mom," Tyler said, eyes sparkling. "It'll be the three of us making memories. Family celebration." Sophie leaned across the table and squeezed my hand warmly. Her nails were perfect pale pink ovals. "Please say yes, Barbara. I keep picturing you on the Lido deck in a pretty sundress, margarita in hand, watching sunsets with us. It honestly wouldn't feel complete without you there." I cried in the shower that night, happy, hopeful tears for the first time since Bill's funeral. I felt young again. I started planning in secret like a schoolgirl. Joined a sunrise walking group to lose the 20 pounds that had crept on from years of solitary ice cream dinners. Sold my mother's pearl earrings, the ones Bill fastened around my neck on our 25th anniversary, to cover my share of the cruise and still send their monthly help. Skipped the hearing aids again. Canceled the garden club's bus trip to the Grand Canyon. Every spare penny went into a cruise fund jar on my dresser. I bought clothes I hadn't dared wear in decades, flowing maxi dresses in turquoise, coral, and white, a modest but pretty swimsuit with a matching sarong, sparkly sandals, a wide-brimmed sun hat. I got my first professional haircut and color in 4 years. I printed the full itinerary and highlighted every port: St. Thomas, St. Martin, San Juan. I even prepaid the deluxe beverage package so I could treat them to unlimited drinks. I booked the exact same sailing, same ship, same week, a balcony cabin 2 doors down from theirs. I imagined Tyler's face when I surprised them at the port. I pictured group photos at formal night, the 3 of us laughing over piña coladas, dancing under the stars. I counted down the days on a little calendar by my bed. 3 days before departure, I called them, voice bubbling over. "Hey, my loves, I'm packing tonight. Where should we meet at Port Miami? I'm driving down Friday, thought we could grab dinner together before boarding Saturday." Tyler went unnaturally quiet. "Actually, Mom, we boarded yesterday." The kitchen spun. "What do you mean boarded yesterday?" "Sophie surprised me," he said, voice thin and evasive. "She got us an early embarkation upgrade. We sailed out of San Juan instead. We're already at sea." "But I booked the same ship, Oasis of the Seas, departing Miami June 15th. Sophie came on the line, bright and breezy as always. "Oh, Barbara, sweetie, we made a last-minute decision to turn it into a true romantic escape, just the 2 of us reconnecting. Only the people who matter most, you know? We didn't want to burden you with the stress of travel at your age, crowded airports, long days in ports. You've already given us so much. This was our way of giving you a break. Rest, relax at home. You deserve it." The people who matter most. I don't remember saying goodbye or hanging up. I stood frozen in the hallway, staring at the dry cleaning bags holding $800 worth of brand new cruise clothes now destined for charity. I'd sent them an extra $4,000 just 6 weeks earlier with the memo, "Happy 10th anniversary cruise fund. Can't wait to celebrate together." That night I opened Instagram with fingers that felt numb. There they were, photo after photo. Tyler in a crisp white linen shirt I'd never seen, arm possessively around Sophie on their private balcony as the ship pulled away from San Juan. Sophie radiant in the white sundress I'd bought her last summer, for special occasions. Her parents clinking champagne at the captain's welcome dinner. Her sister photobombing sunset selfies. Formal night portraits with Sophie's college roommates who'd apparently flown in for the occasion. Excursion photos, ziplining in St. Thomas, beach club in St. Martin, all with her family and friends laughing in the background. Not one single frame had space for me. Not one caption acknowledged the woman whose quiet sacrifices had paid for half the luxury they were flaunting. I scrolled until my eyes burned and my thumb cramped. I zoomed in on every background, searching for an empty deck chair that might have been meant for me. There wasn't one. I cried until I retched in the bathroom, deep, guttural, animal sobs that tore at my throat and ribs. I cried for every skipped meal, every canceled dream, every lonely night I told myself I was needed. I cried for Bill, who would have been devastated to see his hard-earned money funding champagne toasts that deliberately excluded his widow. I cried for the foolish, hopeful woman who believed love could be bought in monthly installments if you just gave enough. At 4 a.m., wrapped in Bill's old navy cardigan that still smelled faintly of him, I sat on the patio and made the hardest decision of my life. I opened my banking app and canceled the $1,500 automatic transfer I'd sent on the first of every month for 6 straight years. Then I blocked both their numbers. Not forever. Just long enough to protect the raw, bleeding pieces of my heart from hearing Tyler say, "Quick favor," one more time. 17 days later, they arrived unannounced. Tyler looked like he hadn't slept in weeks, gaunt, unshaven, eyes bloodshot. Sophie's smile was brittle porcelain, her makeup heavier than usual to hide the strain. "Mom, the mortgage bounced," Tyler blurted before he'd even stepped inside. "We're getting late fees. Foreclosure warning came yesterday." Sophie's tears materialized instantly, perfectly timed, perfectly placed. "Barbara, we've been frantic with worry. You disappeared, cut us off without a word. This isn't the generous, loving woman who raised my husband." I made coffee on autopilot, hands shaking so badly the cups rattled. Old habits die hard. "I saw the cruise photos," I said quietly, setting their mugs down. "You both looked very complete." Sophie waved a manicured hand dismissively. "It was a spontaneous decision. We were sparing you the exhaustion of travel." "You begged me to come," I whispered, voice cracking for the first time. "You described sunsets together, painted pictures of the three of us laughing. I sold my mother's pearls, Bill's gift to me, to buy my ticket." Tyler rubbed the back of his neck. That childhood tell when he knew he was in trouble. "Mom, it was our milestone anniversary. We needed it to be just us." And I wasn't part of us anymore. The silence was thick enough to choke on. Then Sophie reached for my hand, eyes filling with practiced concern. "That's exactly why we're so terrified, Barbara. The sudden isolation, the irrational financial cuts, talking about being excluded from events. Our friend Dr. Patel, he's a geriatric psychiatrist, says these can be classic early signs of cognitive decline. Paranoia, mood swings, impulsive decisions about money. We just want to protect you before you do something you can't undo." I yanked my hand away as if she'd scalded me. "You've already discussed my mental health with strangers?" "We love you," Tyler said, and for one heartbreaking instant, I heard the little boy who begged for one more bedtime story. Then he added, "But we're drowning here, Mom. You can't just pull the rug out like this." Drowning. While posting champagne sunsets on a cruise, my money helped fund. That night I didn't sleep at all. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Sophie's parents, people who'd never sent a single dollar, laughing in the background of photos taken on a balcony I'd helped pay for. I saw the empty space where my chair should have been. The next morning, I called Marlene Whitaker from the garden club. Marlene had lost her only son to opioid addiction 10 years earlier. She never sugarcoated anything. I poured out the entire story over coffee on her patio, voice breaking, tears streaming, words tumbling. When I finished, she was quiet a long time. "Barb," she finally said gently, "you've been trying to buy love on layaway from people who never planned to make the final payment. It's time to repossess your heart and your bank account." She gave me the name and number of Margaret Chen, a Phoenix attorney specializing in elder financial abuse. The term elder felt ridiculous. I was 68, not 88. But when Margaret sat across from me a week later and opened the folder of printed bank statements, she didn't laugh. $127,400, she said softly. "All outgoing, no repayments. This is textbook financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult." Vulnerable. The word stung like alcohol on an open wound, but it fit. The retaliation came swift, calculated, and crueler than I could have imagined. First, Adult Protective Services. A well-meaning but overwhelmed social worker named Carla Rodriguez knocked for a wellness check after receiving multiple urgent reports from concerned family members, alleging self-neglect, paranoia, and possible undue influence by predatory new acquaintances. They cited my newly installed Ring cameras, evidence of paranoid surveillance, my sudden withdrawal from family contact, isolating and concerning behavior, and my refusal to accept financial oversight, impaired judgment. Carla sat at my kitchen table for nearly 2 hours while I laid out the evidence. My cruise confirmation, printed and highlighted Instagram posts, 8 years of one-way bank transfers with memos like mortgage help, anniversary gift, emergency support. She left visibly shaken. "This doesn't align with the reports I received, Mrs. Ellis," she said. "Not at all." But they weren't done. 3 weeks later, Tyler and Sophie filed for emergency temporary conservatorship in Maricopa County Superior Court. The petition painted me as suffering rapid-onset cognitive decline with paranoid delusions, being manipulated by predatory new friends seeking financial gain, and at imminent risk of depleting life savings due to irrational decisions. Sophie launched a GoFundMe, "Help Save My Beloved Mother-in-Law from Financial Predators Who've Turned Her Against Her Only Son." She used a photo of me from last Thanksgiving, eyes half closed because I'd removed my contacts for the picture. The campaign description was a tear-jerking masterpiece, tales of my sudden personality change, how I'd always been like a second mother, how strangers had brainwashed me into abandoning my family. Strangers donated thousands. Comments flooded in, "What an ungrateful old woman," praying for this poor young couple. "Some people don't deserve children." I read them at 2 a.m. and vomited in the bathroom until nothing was left. But something fierce and long buried woke up inside me, the same steel that had carried me through Bill's illness, his death, the empty years after. I wasn't going to let them strip me of the little dignity and security I had left. Marlene became my general. Ruth Gonzalez brought homemade tamales every week and stayed to help sort documents. Joan Patel printed every incriminating social media post. My financial advisor, Tom Nguyen, created a color-coded timeline of transfers that looked like a one-way river. The Garden Club widows rallied like an army I never knew I had. Daily check-in texts, casseroles on the porch, a rotating schedule of company so I was never alone when the anxiety hit. The court appointed Dr. Elena Ramirez, an independent forensic psychiatrist, to evaluate me. We met 4 times, 2 hours each. Memory tests, logic puzzles, emotional interviews. I cried through parts of it, but I told the raw truth. Dr. Ramirez's 20-page report concluded, "Mrs. Barbara Ellis exhibits cognitive functioning in the superior range for her age cohort. She demonstrates exceptional financial literacy, profound insight into complex family dynamics, and entirely appropriate emotional responses to documented betrayal and exploitation. There is no evidence of dementia, delirium, paranoia, or undue influence. Her decision to cease financial support is not only rational, but represents healthy boundary setting in response to prolonged financial abuse." The hearing was set for late September, the longest, hottest summer of my life. I lost 10 more pounds from sheer stress. Sleep came in fragments. I gardened at dawn because the weeds didn't judge me. Marlene and I walked 5 miles every morning, talking until our throats were raw. The widows kept me fed, kept me sane, kept me fighting. The morning of the hearing, I wore the black suit I'd bought for Bill's funeral. It still fit perfectly. I walked into the courthouse with Margaret on my left and Marlene on my right, feeling every one of my 68 years and somehow stronger for them. Tyler and Sophie were already seated. Tyler wore a new suit that looked expensive on his thinned frame. Sophie was in tasteful black, eyes artfully red as if she'd been crying or using drops. Their attorney, Richard Harlan, a slick, silver-haired man who specialized in conservatorships, opened with a performance that belonged on a courtroom drama. "Your Honor, this is a heartbreaking case of a once devoted mother spiraling into isolation, bitterness, and paranoia, tragically influenced by predatory new acquaintances who have convinced her that her loving son and daughter-in-law are exploiting her." He painted me as confused, vindictive, mentally slipping. Sophie took the stand first. She cried beautifully, tears perfectly timed, voice trembling. "Barbara was my second mother. She was always so incredibly generous. Watching this sudden drastic change, cutting off all contact, accusing us of horrible things, it's tearing our family apart. We only want to protect her before she gives everything away to strangers. I gripped Marlene's hand until my knuckles went white. Tyler testified next. His voice shook. Mom has always been the most giving person I know, but lately she's different. Angry, paranoid about money and betrayal. We truly believe someone is taking advantage of her vulnerability. He couldn't meet my eyes. Margaret's cross-examination was surgical. She played Sophie's cruise live stream, finally escaping the daily grind thanks to family support. While the camera panned across the designer handbag I'd gifted her, she introduced the GoFundMe page and its thousands in donations based on falsehoods. She displayed the 8-year transfer history, $127,400 outgoing, 0 incoming. She read aloud Sophie's on-ship text, "Perfect anniversary with the people who matter most." When it was my turn, I walked to the stand slowly, feeling the weight of every sacrificed dream. I looked directly at Judge Elena Morales. "I loved my son with every breath in my body," I began, voice steady despite the tears already falling. "When his father died, I promised myself Tyler would never know lack. I worked double shifts, sold family heirlooms, postponed my own life so he could build his. I believed that if I gave enough, if I was useful enough, he would love me the same fierce, unconditional way. I was wrong. I turned to face Tyler. You begged me to join your anniversary cruise. You and Sophie painted vivid pictures of sunsets together, of family memories. I sold the pearls your father gave me to buy my ticket, and then you told me, politely of course, that I wasn't one of the people who matter most." In that moment, I finally saw the truth. I had been purchasing access to a family that never truly included me. My voice broke, but I continued. "I am not paranoid. I am awake. I am not impaired. I am heartbroken. I am not vindictive. I am finished buying love that was never genuinely for sale." The courtroom was silent, except for my quiet weeping. Judge Morales deliberated less than an hour. "Petition for conservatorship is denied with prejudice," she ruled firmly. "This court finds overwhelming evidence of attempted financial exploitation by the petitioners, rather than incapacity in Mrs. Ellis. Mrs. Ellis is clearly competent, and her decision to protect her remaining assets is not only rational, but prudent and long overdue. Court costs and attorney fees shall be paid by petitioners. I strongly recommend the petitioners seek counseling regarding appropriate boundaries in adult family relationships." Tyler tried to approach me in the hallway afterward. "Mom, please, we can fix this. We can talk." I raised one trembling hand. "No," I said, the finality surprising even me. "We can't. You made your choice on that ship. Now I'm making mine." I took the exact same cruise the following June. Same ship, same itinerary, balcony cabin paid for with money that was finally, unequivocally mine. The first night at sea, I stood on my private balcony in the turquoise dress I'd bought 2 years earlier. The sunset painted the sky in impossible colors, coral melting into gold, lavender bleeding into indigo. Colors Bill would have loved. I held a margarita in a hand that still shook slightly and let the tears come freely. Not the raw, ripping sobs from before. These were soft, cleansing tears that tasted like salt air and freedom. I posted one photo that night, just me, smiling against the railing, endless ocean behind me. Caption: celebrating the person who finally matters most to me, learning, at long last, to come home to myself. I met 6 incredible women on board, 5 widows and 1 recent divorcee, all traveling solo for the first time. We claimed the same dinner table every night and talked until the waitstaff politely begged us to leave. We danced to 80s music until our feet ached. We cried together over lost husbands and lost children and lost years. We laughed until we cried again over new possibilities. We exchanged emails, phone numbers, and promises to stay in touch. And we have. We now have an annual Solo Sisters reunion cruise planned. Back home, I sold the big empty house with its echoing rooms and memories of absent holiday guests. I bought a bright, airy two-bedroom condo downtown, with a balcony overflowing with geraniums and hummingbird feeders. I joined a watercolor painting class. I started singing with a community choir that performs at nursing homes, giving back the joy music gave me during Bill's illness. I finally got the hearing aids. I planned my first trip to Italy for next spring, the one Bill and I always promised ourselves. I heard through distant mutual friends that Tyler and Sophie downsized to a modest rental in Mesa. Sophie took a part-time job at an upscale boutique. Tyler's design business finally began turning consistent profit. Apparently, necessity is indeed a powerful teacher. They have not contacted me once since the hearing. Not a text, not a call, not even a birthday card. Some nights I still dream of the little boy who clung to my legs during thunderstorms, who drew lopsided I love mom cards in crayon, who fell asleep on my shoulder during long Sunday drives. I wake up missing him with an ache so fierce it feels like new grief. But then I remember the empty balcony chair in those cruise photos, the GoFundMe built on lies, the courtroom tears that turned on like a faucet, and the ache slowly transforms into something quieter, acceptance, and eventually peace. Because I finally understand the lesson Bill tried to teach me all those decades ago. You can love someone with every fragment of your heart and still choose yourself when they stop choosing you back. Bill would be proud. I know that deep in my bones, and for the first time in decades, so am I. My name is Barbara Ellis. I am 69 years old now, and I am finally, truly, completely free. Word count, approximately 5,200. This is the fullest version with deeper backstories, more internal reflection, extended friendships, richer sensory details, and a longer healing arc.